Control of hazardous energy sources, or lockout-tagout, is a program that our property has implemented for the safety of all associates. This program provides an overview of lockout-tagout training requirements, definitions, and safe work procedures required to protect associates who perform lockout-tagout and those who are affected by lockout-tagout. Lockout-tagout must be used during the servicing and/or maintenance of machines or equipment, and when there is a potential for unexpected energization or startup or release of stored energy. Now, before we go any further, let's discuss the two different categories of associates requiring knowledge and training in lockout-tagout procedures. The first category is authorized associates. These are maintenance personnel who actually use lockout and tagout procedures while they are repairing or maintaining equipment. The second category is affected associates. This describes any associates who uses or works around equipment in machinery. It's recommended that virtually all associates be in the affected associate category. To adequately protect both authorized and affected associates, the machine's energy source or sources must be disabled before maintenance, service, or repair is performed. The first thing to do is to identify all hazardous energy sources associated with the machine. Each machine or piece of equipment must be inspected by trained persons to determine energy sources and adequate lockout-tagout procedures. These procedures must be documented if the equipment has multiple energy sources, multiple lockouts are required, 2 or more associates are repairing or servicing the equipment, the equipment has a potential to store or reaccumulate energy. Remember, electricity is not the only form of hazardous energy. Control of hazardous energy systems also includes mechanical, hydraulic, pneumatic, chemical, thermal, and other energy sources. Once identified, these energy sources must be controlled by locking them out to the off or safe position. Energy is considered adequately controlled or isolated when an unplanned event, such as someone attempting to turn the machine on, will not override or bypass the lockout control. There is one exception to the lockout rule, and that's equipment connected only by an electrical cord and plug. You do not have to lock out cord and plug equipment if there are no other hazardous energy sources. The major requirement for cord and plug equipment is that the person performing the work must have control over the plug, thus preventing someone else from plugging in the cord and energizing the equipment. If plug control cannot be maintained, then the plug needs to be locked out. The name of the person who locked the equipment out must be written on the tag. This person is the only person allowed to remove the lock or tag. In some circumstances, multiple locks and/or tags are used. Never under any circumstances remove a lock or tag or attempt to start a machine that has been locked and tagged out. Associates who are affected by lockout-tagout procedures are to be notified by the authorized associate before the lockout is applied and after the lockout is removed, and when the machine or equipment is safe to use. Clearing jams is another area of concern. A good rule of thumb is that if an associate has to remove a guard exposing himself to hazardous energy sources, the lockout-tagout procedures must be used. You need to develop specific procedures for each machine, and all authorized and affected associates must be trained in these procedures. Associate training must be provided to ensure everyone is educated in lockout-tagout procedures. Associates must know what lockout-tagout means, and that they are not to remove tags without authorization under any circumstances. The next part of an effective lockout-tagout program is an annual inspection process. An inspection ensures associates are trained and knowledgeable on lockout-tagout policies and procedures, and that these procedures are being properly used when required. Documentation of the annual inspections is required. The person conducting the inspection should be an authorized employee, but who does not utilize the lockout-tagout energy control procedure being inspected. In other words, maintenance people who perform lockout-tagout procedures on the machine or equipment being inspected do not conduct the inspection. Lockout and tagout hardware such as locks, tags, and hasps are provided by your property. Lockout-tagout hardware may only be used for lockout-tagout purposes and cannot be used for any other job tasks. This pertains especially to the tags because lockout tags used for other purposes may dilute the meaning of the tag. Each individual must accept the responsibility of being aware of the rules and following your organization's policies and procedures exactly. The purpose of lockout and tagout is accident prevention, safeguarding the machine operators and the maintenance associates serving the equipment. Safety has always been a team effort, and lockout-tagout is no different. Remember, failure to lock out and tag machinery before working on it is a major cause of injury. There's a big difference between turning off a machine and actually disabling a piece of equipment. All equipment being serviced or repaired that poses a hazard must be locked out and tagged before the service or maintenance is performed. Never remove a lock or tag or attempt to start a machine that has been locked and tagged out. Lockout-tagout hardware may only be used for lockout-tagout and cannot be used for any other purpose. Lockout-tagout is a vital part of injury prevention, so if you're not sure about a particular procedure, ask your supervisor. Don't take chances, because failure to properly lock and tag out when necessary can lead to potentially serious injuries.